Alright, hi there. These comments are for CJ, and I am Michael, the founder, owner, and the materials writer for all of your lessons at the 7-step system to pass the TOEFL IBT. You're also one of my students in the English language program here at California State University, San Bernardino. Alright, so let's take a look at the introduction first. So, the reading passage discusses that arranging meetings is a very useful measure to succeed in business, but the listening passage, because it's singular, has some opposite views about meeting for business. I would just say here about business success. Now, the problem with your introduction is when you look at the purpose, I think, of the reading passage and the purpose of the lecture, it's not just talk about arranging meetings or attending meetings. If you go to the introduction in the business, the reading passage, it says all businesses want to succeed, and arranging meetings, encouraging employees to read all required training materials and reports, and making sure employees bypass the stages of the writing process, since it is too time-consuming, will make companies more efficient. So there's 3 specific ideas. Unfortunately, you did not mention those here. Now, if you mention the arranging meeting thing, then you have to talk about the reading and the writing portions of the reading as well. Or you can be a little bit more general and say, well, the reading passage discusses 3 specific ways businesses can be more successful, but the listening casts doubt on each of these points. You could say it like that. So your introduction doesn't exactly, I think, frame the purpose of the reading. Your next paragraph, the reading passage writes that arranging meetings could encourage employees to read many necessary materials and reports, and it can be very efficient for many companies. However, okay, so let's go to here. So in the second paragraph, we have all employees need to attend all company meetings, and companies should schedule as many meetings as possible. Meetings are effective for discussing controversial issues, making sure everyone is up to date with the current technology. So I don't think that you've exactly explained this. So it's this first idea is a little bit, talking about arranging meetings and then talking about encouraging employees to read materials. These are 2 separate topics that the reading passage deals with, and I don't think it's good to put both of them in the same paragraph. However, in the listening passage, the speaker says that long meetings, I'm going to make this plural, don't even need this, just say long meetings, more than 60 minutes usually. If you say usually, it means may. You don't need both of these. May be unproductive for businesses. He says that leads, maybe here, give you a noun here, that leads employees. He says that leads employees to spend too much time on introducing materials and reports, and often are interrupted by people who enter the room. So here, the main thing is you're having some problems, I think, explaining accurately the main points from the reading passage here. This is where you're having some trouble. So then the reading passage, because you have here writes, here, let's keep this present tense. The reading passage suggests that meetings are effective for discussing controversial issues and making sure everyone is up to date with the current technology needed to complete their works. And the speaker resists this point in the listening passage. So I think you're confusing your notes here. So if you move on to the second point, I think here, it says employees should be provided with supplementary reading materials to help them perform their jobs. They should read all documents in their entirety. That is the purpose, I think, of the second point in the reading. So you're having some confusion between what the first point is in the reading passage along with what the second point is in the reading passage. Instead of saying here and, I would say but. The speaker resist this point in the listening passage. The speaker thinks it's not necessary for employees to schedule because you have meetings as a count noun, say many, too many meetings. He says short meetings can be useful for discussing an issue, but long meetings may, you want to say here, may be a huge waste of time. You have moreover, the speaker suggests that people can focus on meetings at the beginning of 60 minutes. Now wait a minute. When we move on to the third point in the reading, we have to go back here. So now, in the third point here, it says that employees should not separate the steps in the writing process because it is too time-consuming. That's the main point. So this is where you're running into trouble. You have omitted the last main point in the reading you didn't even mention. I'm not sure why you didn't do that, but you have to really look at these paragraphs as having three separate purposes. Okay, second paragraph here, the reading is saying employees need to attend all company meetings. That's a key idea. Now, the next one is employees should read all documents in their entirety. That's the second point. The third point, according to the reading, is employees should not separate the steps in the writing process. Those are the three key ideas. The lecture disagrees with each of those points. This is what you want to put in your essay. So on the last part, you're combining, it just doesn't work very well. You got mixed up on how to organize your information. So I'm going to show you the sample in just a minute so you can learn more about this. But you're trying to combine, it looks like, some earlier points in the reading with the third point. It says the reading passage writes, people should write all the document at once. Right here. Okay, got it. However, in the listening passage, the speaker says it's very necessary to separate the steps in the writing process. He says the first step is to remember big ideas, not details. Okay, wait a minute here. Let me see what we have. Okay, I think I'm starting to figure out. Wait a minute. Let's put this here. Okay, this makes more sense here. Okay, so I just need to separate your paragraphs a little bit. So the reading passage writes, people should write all the document at once. There are many main and minor details, so employees should not separate the steps. Okay, this is good. I got it. Then you have your conclusion. Okay, let me look at it one more time. So in your second paragraph, you're talking about arranging meetings and then reading many necessary materials and reports, but that was a little bit confusing because you're taking points from, I think, two different parts of the reading passage, putting them together and then combining that with what the lecture is saying about meetings, so you have to be careful about that. Okay, now let's take a look at the sample. Okay, here it is right here. This is the actual sample. I'm going to also give this to you so you can see it. Okay, we got it. Let's make this a little bit bigger. So you had some trouble with the introduction, so I talked to you about that. So here's the introduction here. It says, for businesses to be successful, the reading passage recommends that all employees participate in all meetings, read all the materials, and bypass the steps of the writing process when writing reports. But the lecture questions the efficiency of these suggestions. So this introduction is better than yours in the sense that it explains all three main points in the reading passage. And then it shows how the information in the lecture disagrees with these things. You just talked about one of the key points in the reading, not all three. So your summary didn't accurately explain the most important points of all the reading passage. So then in the next paragraph, I'll just read the topics. The professor claims a number of employee meetings should be limited and short. So that's the key point, the first reading key point 1. And then we have, actually that's the lecture key point 1. Then we have the reading point. The author argues that companies need to schedule as many meetings as possible since they're an excellent way of dealing with problems and staying current with modern work-related technology. Okay, so you can read the rest of it there, right? Okay, so now let's take a look at the rubrics here so I can figure out your score. So I think you're going in the right direction here. So I'm going to say you're in the 3 range here. You had some confusion, I think, in terms of your introduction, and then that second body paragraph was a little bit confusing. But overall, you organized information in a fairly understandable manner. So I'm going to put you here at 3.50 out of 5, or 22 points out of 30 on this particular practice test due to some problems with the introduction, and then maybe some problems with this second paragraph, which was a little bit confusing. All right?